removing a small part. And I'm going to take that down to within about a hand's breadth of this fork, so that I end up with a hook on the end of this stick. These are the sticks that are going to form the tripod. And using the top of this withy that I've softened, I'm going to form a clove hitch. What I like to do then is just take that up through one of the crutches of the sticks and down. Just makes it a little bit more secure, stops it slipping, and there's our tripod ready to hold the pot over the fire. If we want to adjust the height, we adjust the spread of the legs. It's easy to romanticize the life of the voyageurs, the outdoor life, singing songs as they paddled, the camaraderie and the massive celebrations when they returned to port. But they would rise before daybreak and paddle for 18 hours a day, resting each hour just long enough to smoke a pipe. The pace was relentless. They were expected to paddle at 45 paddle strokes a minute. Je raconterai, ô jolie demoiselle, j'ai point choisi, j'ai pris la plus belle. C'est l'Aveyron qui nous mène et qui nous mène, mais c'est l'Aveyron qui nous mène en haut. Beautiful, beautiful day. I think the canoe is the most magical way to see the wilds, to get close to wildlife. You really are communing with nature when you travel in a canoe. I really enjoy it. I think that it's also a great panacea for the world we live in today. You know, when you paddle a canoe, you have to learn to move at the pace of the water, and almost the sooner as you accept that fact, life becomes so much easier and simpler. Once you're on a river like this, you can really sense the forest spreading out for miles around. The river is the artery that links it all together, one immense natural entity. Looks like I'm dressed to deal with some sort of chemical outbreak, doesn't it? But actually, I'm just about to walk into what's called muskeg, which is like swamp. And that is a very good place to find dry firewood. But of course, that's the breeding ground for these billions of insects that populate this area during the summer months. Black flies and mosquitoes plague every warm-blooded creature around here. In the 1950s, the Canadian government carried out tests and discovered that an exposed forearm could be bitten 280 times in just 1 minute. So my bug jacket may make things hot and sweaty, but it's an essential item of clothing. It's said firewood makes you warm 3 times. First, collecting it. Secondly, shifting it. And third, when you burn it. going to make a bannock, which is an unleavened bread, which is very much the fare of canoe trips. And there are many ways of going about these. I have a very simple recipe, which is 2 parts of flour to 1 part milk powder. But I'm going to add in another ingredient today because I'm making a cake-like bannock. I'm going to add some powdered egg. Unleavened breads like this, breads that don't involve yeast, are very much the fare of the Canadian backwoods. The voyageurs used to make something similar they called galette, and there are descriptions of that containing everything from the dirt from the cook's hands to dead flies. If I was to make one of those today, I'm sure there'd be a few dead mosquitoes in there. But the key ingredient to all of these really is baking powder, and here in Canada they have this wonderful ingredient, that magic baking powder. And that's all the basic ingredients. Oh, there is a dead mosquito in there too. I think it's only fair enough I get a chance to bite them back. I'm going to also now add a touch of sugar. I'm using brown sugar because I think it gives much better flavour for this sort of outdoor cooking. And when you're on the trail, flavours become very important to you. Some raisins. At the end of the day's travel, drying yourself off, getting the fire going, getting a brew on or a meal cooked is actually rather nice routine of the day, something you look forward to. And it's one of the nicer aspects of this sort of travel, really. You don't need this sort of bread, because if you do, you punch the gas out of it. So it's quite different to making a yeasted bread. So what I want to do is just round that. Hands hot, oil's good and hot. Push it down to spread it within this pan. Now, what happens now is that this gets tilted towards the fire, and I prop a stick behind it. We don't use cooking times, not cooking like this outdoors, because the temperature, the way the wind is blowing, the amount of moisture in the air, that all affects things. So things are cooked when they're done. And I've got one last ingredient, and this is a real treat, rum. Just a little tot of rum just on top of there, drizzled, as they say, on top. If you could only smell this. There it is, bannock. It's unlucky to cut bannock, so you always break bannock. There, look at that. Oh. It always takes a couple of days to settle into the journey. Muscles need to acclimatise to the demands of paddling, and the body and mind must adapt to the river. Once you've tuned in, you can paddle for weeks. Although I'm perfectly happy with my own company, it's always good to share an experience like this. For the next few days, I'll be joined by an expert canoeist and good friend, Ray Goodwin.